and welcome to JimDot presents the PW View. This is gonna be my weekly wrestling show. Some weeks I may have someone on with me, some weeks I may not. For this first one, I'm not gonna have anyone with me. I'm just gonna be going over this last weekend, basically, of wrestling. It was very, very jam-packed with really good wrestling. Let's see here. This was 5 nights in a row. 6 if you watched NXT or the Cruiserweight Classic, which I haven't gotten around to watching this week yet. But let's get going. Recapping Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor show. Before I get into this, I would like to say, let's get out of here, Steam. Anyway, I would like to just say I love that Kenny Omega is the first Gaijin to win the G1. I'm loving that. I'm loving Bullet Club. And this weekend was kind of the weekend of the Bullet Club, to be honest. So let's get going. First match on the pay-per-view for Death Before Dishonor was Donovan Dijak versus Leo Rush versus Jay White versus Kamatachi for the number one contendership for the Ring of Honor World Television title. This match was alright. I really liked Donovan Dijak's whole springboard move. Like, seeing a guy of his size be able to do that is just amazing. It is just amazing. Dijak gets the win here. And I really look forward to seeing Dijak versus Bobby Fish. I can't remember if I've seen that, if they've had a match before or not. They may have. But I really want to see that match. Which, I mean, I kind of gave away what happened later. But, I mean, if you're watching this, you more or less probably already know what happened. Anyway, the next match of the night was Katsuyori Shibata versus Silas Young. I mean, I liked the match. It wasn't the best match. It was just a nice little... It was a nice match, I guess. The end was good. I like Shibata. Shibata's a great talent. Silas Young, I like, but I'm not, like, overly enthusiastic about Silas Young. Anyway, let's just move on for there. Shibata won. Let's move on to the Chaos versus Bullet Club match. Roppongi Vice and Toriano defeated Yujiro Takahashi, Tamatonga, and Tangaloa. It was an average match, to be honest. For some reason, I love Yujiro. I love Tama, but for some reason, Tangaloa doesn't click with me. I'm not a big fan of Tangaloa. It's not that I dislike him. It's just compared to the other guys in the Bullet Club, he kind of seems like the weak link. Although I think he could break out if he could just string together a couple good matches. I think that would change my tone. But right now, I think Tangaloa is probably the weak link in the Bullet Club in terms of in-ring work. But other than that, there's not really much to say about that match. Chaos wins, so Anyway, okay, next match, Ring of Honor, former Ring of Honor World Champion Jay Briscoe faced Adam Hangman Page. I'm really liking Adam Page recently. I didn't used to like Adam Page, but I'm really liking Adam Page's whole Hangman gimmick and stuff. Really good hardcore match here. Crazy match. Hangman Page wins. I was kind of surprised that why do I keep saying Jay Lethal? I was surprised Jay Briscoe lost, to be honest. I thought Briscoe was going to go over. But I was happy that Page won. So, and then we kind of go into a match. Kazuchika Okada defeats Dalton Castle. I mean, in terms of in-ring work, it was solid. I really loved what the boys were doing outside the ring. It really added to the match in terms of, like, just the comedy factor and everything. Let's see here. Then we move on to Bobby Fish versus Mark Briscoe. I didn't really like this match all too much. I mean, I've come to expect more from Bobby Fish, to be honest. But it wasn't a bad match. It's just I kind of expected more, and yeah, I just expected more. Let's see here. The Addiction took on Tanahashi and Elgin and Tetsuya Naito and Evil for the Ring of Honor World Tag Titles. The two people that really brought this match up to the level that I liked it so much was Tanahashi and Naito. Daniels and Kazarian were all right in this match. I love Daniels and Kazarian, and they can do a lot better than they did in this match, I think. Although they did really good in this match. I would really love to see the Addiction take either of these two teams on 2-on-2. I think that would be awesome. But I don't necessarily like triple threat tag matches in general because it's just kind of hard to keep track of all the action sometimes in them. But I mean, yeah. Plus, I'm recording this a week after it happened, so I'm probably forgetting some stuff. Like, for example, I could be forgetting something that the Addiction did that I loved, which one thing they did, I loved the pinfall at the end. I loved that ending. Anyway, let's go on. The main event, match of the night. I mean, I feel like second best match was Page and Briscoe, but Cole and Lethal, man, they put on a show. I wanted Adam Cole to win. My heart said yes. My brain said, Jay Lethal, he's on track to being one of the longest reigning champions ever. He already is one of the longest reigning champions ever, I think. And he's on track to get up there higher, but I was happy at the end. Adam Cole wins. I really love this match. Adam Cole, great heel. Great heel, man. He's one of my favorite heels. He may be my favorite heel in Ring of Honor, to be honest. Lethal, really good. I cannot wait till either of these two men come to WWE. Although, I can wait, on the other hand, because I don't know if they'll be having these quality matches once they get to WWE. At least with each other. So, on one hand, I want to see both these guys get there, and I'm pretty sure Adam Cole and Jay Lethal both will get there, but I don't know how to feel how it's going to go if and when they do get there. Anyway, so let's continue on. That was Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, and before I go into Brooklyn, I am going to talk about a couple news stories that broke this week about Del Rio, a week ago. So this is kind of late to be talking about it, but Alberto Del Rio, Paige, and Eva Marie all got popped for the wellness violation, suspended for 30 days. Speculation online is Alberto Del Rio's gone. He's not coming back after the suspension. Paige definitely is, because I'm pretty sure I've heard her contract doesn't end until April of next year, or even past that. So I don't see WWE personally letting her go because she's just so good. But also on the other hand, I could see her wanting to go when her contract's up. But really, why? Like, for Alberto Del Rio, I get it, you may like the guy, but really, you're gonna give up your whole career that you could have for Alberto Del Rio. Really. I mean, that's all I have to say about that. And as for Eva Marie, I mean, come on. Come on. Like people needed any more reason to hate her. Come on. And apparently, she got popped because she didn't didn't get paperwork signed in time, which, even then, that makes it her fault if that is the case, that she didn't get things filed in time. Like, Eva, people already don't like you. Get the stuff filed that you need to get filed and be done with it. Really. I mean, although I can get procrastination because I am the biggest procrastinator in the entire world. So, I mean, I can understand that aspect of, she forgot to or something. I understand that, but I mean, that's a pretty important thing to not forget, because 30 days suspension, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, the fans already hate her enough. It's not going to make them hate her more, I don't think. But anyway, I think she is probably one of the best pure heels in the women's division out. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Besides Charlotte and Eva, and I mean, I don't even know if Eva got, she's a heel. Yeah, I mean, she's one of the best heels. She's just a heat magnet. Anyway, so with that said, let's go to recapping NXT Brooklyn. Let's see here. The opening match, Austin Aries defeats No Way Jose. Really, No Way Jose's gimmick is far more entertaining than it should be. Really, on paper, his gimmick seems like it's Fandango 2.0. But when you see it in action, boy oh boy, boy oh boy. But I realize after I say that, once he gets to the main roster, he's Fandango 2.0 again. That, I mean, it's just the way it ends up. Tyler Breeze, he was awesome in NXT. He legitimately could have been NXT champion. He goes up the main roster. In a few weeks, he's jobbing out to guys like R-Truth. It's not really... I mean, it's not a bright future for those kind of guys. But as long as he stays in NXT, I think No Way Jose has a bright future in NXT. And as for Austin Aries, I really want Austin Aries and Bobby Roode to go together as a tag team in NXT. Or, I mean, I think it's if James Storm is coming in, that is rumored, you would want to have Bobby and James. But Austin Aries now just kind of seems like, I really love Austin Aries, but I don't know how much direction they have for him. I hope they go in the direction of Aries Nakamura for the NXT title. But I don't know if they will or not. But I think that match could be great. Alright. So, what is the next match here on the list? It was Ember Moon versus Billie Kay. Ember Moon wins her debut. Not really much to say about this match. It was a decent match. It wasn't nothing special. It wasn't horrible, and it wasn't nothing special. The best part of the match was the finish. I love that move that Ember Moon did. And I don't think I've ever seen that move before, so kudos to her for breaking out something that I've never seen before. In the next match, Bobby Roode versus Andrade Almas. Oh, Andrade. Like, it baffles me. They try to get this guy over as a face, and they put him in the ring with Bobby Roode. Come on. Put Bobby in the ring with Ty Dillinger, not Andrade Almas, who's already struggling to get over. And get him out of those suspenders and that hat. That's also stupid. I almost want them to put the mask back on Andrade at this point. Put a mask back on him, because at this point I don't know how I mean, it's salvageable, but I don't. They really need to change his gimmick up and stuff for him to be successful down there, I think. Personally, I think. Anyway, so next is the Tag Team Championship match, which I have gone back and forth in my head whether this or the main event was the match of the night. I keep going back and forth, and right now I'm thinking this match beats out the main event by like a little tiny bit. I love Gargano and Ciampa, and if I'm hoping, I'm praying to God they are in the cruiserweight division and they aren't just kept down in NXT. Although if they are kept down in NXT, I would love to see them win the NXT tag titles at some point. But I think the next NXT tag champions are gonna be the Authors of Pain, and I really think the Revival need to be called up. I'd say at the latest the night or 2 nights after WrestleMania. I think SmackDown needs the Revival more than Raw does. Raw has a pretty decent tag team division, although they did just lose the Dudleys this week. But SmackDown has 6 official tag teams, and they got the makeshift tag team of Slater and Rhino, which I'll talk about later. But let me think. What tag teams does Raw have? Where could the Revival fit in best, Raw or SmackDown? Because SmackDown has 6. Raw has Enzo and Cass, New Day, Gallows and Anderson. They have the Shining Stars. That's 4. I'm sure I'm missing a team. I am sure of it. Here, I have the Raw roster pulled up, on a picture of the Raw roster on my phone real fast. I'll pull it up. I guess you could also count Owens and Jericho, but I don't see that going any longer than this Enzo and Cass feud. So, let's see here. The tag teams are New Day, Shining Stars, Gallows and Anderson, Cass and Enzo. Golden Truth technically is a team. So I changed my mind. The Revival need to go to Raw. SmackDown, I mean, there isn't that many great tag teams in NXT. TM61 is probably my third favorite besides Revival and Gargano and Ciampa, which I actually want Ciampa to turn on Gargano because I've seen the potential of Ciampa's heelness in Ring of Honor. I've seen it, and it's amazing. And I hated that Ring of Honor didn't do as much with Tommaso Ciampa as they should have. Really, he should have been one of their top heels. And for a while it looked like he was gonna be, but then they just dropped the ball on him. So, anyway, let's go back to actually talking about the match. The match was, for me, match of the night. Near fall after near fall. Great match. I really thought Gargano and Ciampa had it after they hit their finish. I don't know what their finish's name is. I don't even know if it has a name, but the knee super kick thing, I thought as soon as it got hit, but once I saw the positioning of the pin, I'm like, yeah, okay. I can't remember if it was Dawson or Dash Wilder or Scott Dawson who was being pinned, but I knew the other one was going to break it up by the positioning. It was obvious right by the ropes, but other than that, I was kind of disappointed that the finish wasn't the Shatter Machine because I love that move so much. Oof, I love that move so much. But I also like that leg submission. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now of Dawson's. So either way, great match. Selfishly, I wanted to see the Shatter Machine, but I mean that's some. But the match itself was great. Now Asuka and Bayley, I thought the first match they had at the last takeover or whenever, I think it was, I can't remember what the last takeover was called, but anyway, I can't even remember who Nakamura fought on the second takeover that he was in. I'd like to look that up in a little bit in between SummerSlam and Raw. But anyway, so Asuka and Bayley, first match I thought was best. I think the fact that I was pretty sure Bayley was losing this match and coming up to the main roster, although I did think she was going to SmackDown, so I was wrong about where she was going to go on the main roster, but I was pretty sure she was going up to the main roster on Monday or Tuesday. So I pretty much knew Asuka was winning. There's nothing left for Bayley to do down in NXT besides mentor. I mean, I guess she could have been a really good mentor down there, but they really need her on the main roster, and she's more valuable on the main roster right now than being a mentor in NXT. But whenever Bayley does retire in another 8-10 years or shorter, hopefully not shorter because Bayley is amazing, but whenever she does retire, I would love to see her go down and train in NXT. And I mean, based on the love she shows for NXT, I think that would be something she might like doing as well, and I think she would do a really good job at it. So anyway, so Asuka wins. This match was good, but it wasn't great. I think these two have the possibility of having a really great match, and I would say I'm waiting for the match they get whenever Asuka comes up to the main roster, but based on the trend, I'm pretty sure that when Asuka does come up to the main roster, it should be on SmackDown. And really, I don't know of any other NXT woman right now that could beat Asuka. I mean, I could see Ember Moon having a feud with Asuka, but I don't see Ember Moon beating Asuka yet. I mean, really, I think Asuka could hold on to that belt until next year in Dallas, to be honest, which is when she... Okay, I do remember, because NXT broke Dallas is when Asuka beat Bayley, and then Asuka at the next NXT takeover, beat Nia Jax because Bayley had that storyline injury. Yeah, I remember that now. Okay, but either way, good match. But these two are far capable of having a better match. But this match in particular was really good. All right, so the second match of the night, which halfway I want to say it is the match of the night. That's how wishy-washy I'm between the tag team match and this match. Shinsuke Nakamura defeated Samoa Joe for the NXT Championship. It was amazing. This match was amazing. Nakamura, I mean, that entrance, man. That entrance, the live violin being played, it was amazing. Just the whole presentation of this match. One thing I love they do for the women's and NXT Championship is the whole lighting they have before the match and the announcements. I love that. It adds to the big fight feel of it all. I really thought Joe had it after the Muscle Buster, to be honest. I going into this match, I was going back and forth on who I thought was going to win. But in the end, Nakamura wins. I was super happy about it. If I had to pick someone I wanted to win, it would have been Nakamura mainly. I just love Shinsuke. Um, man, overall match of the year this year, like Nakamura's pretty much tied for one of my top two favorite matches this year with AJ and Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom 10 and Nakamura and Zayn at Takeover Dallas. I mean, those two matches are probably my match of the year. Tied for match of the year right now with me. I would have to go back and watch to see which one I exactly liked more. If I had to go on the spot and say which one I liked more at this second, I would probably have to say Nakamura Zayn. But Nakamura AJ at Wrestle Kingdom was amazing. And on top of that, it is AJ Styles this year has wrestled in front of, I think it was 40-something thousand people in the Tokyo Dome. Debuted in the Royal Rumble like a month later. Like a month or less later. I think it's less than a month later he debuted in the Royal Rumble. And then he was in a big match in front of 100-something thousand, at least that's what they claim, which I tend to believe it's probably around there. I don't know if they broke 100, but I think they came close to it. What is legitimately the biggest crowd in WWE history, I believe. And, oh man, AJ Styles has had a year, and so has Nakamura. So, that is the end, I think, of... Yep, that is the end of the Brooklyn recap. So, let's just get right into the SummerSlam. Actually, I'm going to give Brooklyn an overall show rating. I didn't do this for Death Before Dishonor. If I did, I'd give it a B. I'd give Death Before Dishonor a B. And I would give NXT Brooklyn a solid B+. A solid B+. And I'm just going to say my SummerSlam grade before I get into SummerSlam. I'd give it a C+, B- range. I mean, yeah, there was a match that also is a match of the year candidate. It's probably my number 3 or 4 match of the year for this year so far. AJ and Cena at SummerSlam had, which was amazing, but so I'm not going to get too much into the pre-show because I missed every pre-show match except for the tail end of Sheamus and Cesaro, and I can't say one way or another whether that match was good or not because I haven't taken the time to go back and watch the whole match. But all I can say is I like the decision of Sheamus winning the first one. I actually think Sheamus should win the next one as well. And then, so you can have Cesaro chasing because I mean, the story of the babyface chasing the heel is always, I think, the best story to tell in these scenarios. So, let's go into the next the first match of the main card here, Jericho and Owens. They had a good match. Yeah, they just had a good match. I really thought that Enzo and Cass was going to win, although I wanted Jericho and Owens to win because what better heel heat than to beat Enzo and Cass in Brooklyn? Like, instant heel heat. It's like you want people to stop cheering Kevin Owens for the night? Have them beat Enzo and Cass in Brooklyn. They'll get booed, trust me. But also, it doesn't hurt that Jericho is probably in his second best heel run. I still think 2008 Chris Jericho heel is the best heel Jericho, but this is definitely number 2. I mean, number 2 Jericho, to be honest, heel or face. Jericho is just on a roll right now, and it is horrible that it's coming to an end in the next few months. Like, it's horrible. I'm loving Jericho. When Jericho first came back this year and was the face, I hated him. But whenever he became a heel, I just loved him, man. The whole new catchphrases he has. I mean, the guy just, every time he comes back, he keeps his old catchphrases when he's a face, but as a heel, he just keeps pumping out new ones, and he is one of the best of all time. I will say that. He is one of the best of all time. Alright, let's get into the next match. Charlotte defeated Sasha Banks. I was a bit perplexed by the end of this match, to be honest. The match itself was great. Like, Sasha and Charlotte, whenever they're in the ring together, I dare them to have a bad match, because I don't think it's humanly possible. But I was perplexed by the end of this match, and then now I don't think we've gotten a concrete answer of why Sasha lost and is not on Raw. I think like the main highly believed one, and she has an injury that she's working off. And I would also think I'm pretty sure she would want to go on a honeymoon because she got married a few weeks back, and I don't see how she could have had one given the schedule she had. So I mean, Sasha Banks gets some time off, well deserved time off, and my overall like hope for when Sasha comes back is for Charlotte to still have the title and for Sasha to win it, and then have Sasha and Bayley in a really high up match on the card at WrestleMania. Like, I would personally put that co-main event. Like, I don't think the women at this point are ready to main event at WrestleMania, but personally, I think it will happen one day. I think the women will main event WrestleMania one day. And I think that one day could be in the next 10, 15 years. I think the perfect scenario that I think that the women could main event at WrestleMania is if Charlotte or Bayley were to be retiring and their last match was going to be at WrestleMania for the women's title, I think that would be the opportune moment 5 to 10 years down the line whenever one of them is ready to retire. Which, for Sasha, the move she does may be sooner than 5 to 10 years, because she falls on her head a lot, which is why, Sasha? Why do you fall on your head and neck all the time? This is why you're injured. Anyway, but that would, I think, be my perfect scenario to if the women would ever main event a WrestleMania. That would probably be the best moment, the best opportunity for them to do it. But I think I think Sasha and Bayley at Mania this upcoming year is probably, I would have to say it's probably my safe bet to say what the women's match will be at WrestleMania. The women's title match. I'm pretty sure. I'm curious to see what they do with the women's titles at WrestleMania this upcoming year, because are they going to have both women's titles for Raw and SmackDown on the show, or are they going to have one on the pre-show? I almost think if you put one on the pre-show, you have to put the other one on the pre-show, which that devalues both women, all the women, and because if you put one on the show and one not on the show, then it also shows the fact that this brand's championship is better than that brand. So I think just both women's titles should be on the WrestleMania card. But yeah, as I said, perplexed by Charlotte winning, but I understand after reading rumors and stuff. I don't think we've gotten a concrete answer yet on the official reason why Sasha's out. But yeah, it was a great match. So let's get into the Miz and Apollo Crews. This was shorter than I thought it was going to be. I'm looking here on Wikipedia. This could be wrong, but it says it was 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Man, this match, it was a Miz match. It was a Miz match, and I'm not knocking The Miz. I love The Miz, dude. I was probably one of the only people in the entire world to be cheering The Miz whenever he walked into WrestleMania 27. One of the only people. Let's hear WrestleMania 27. That was 5 years ago now. Wow. I would have only been 14. I would have been 14. 13, I think, because it was a couple days before my birthday. I think. No, 27 was on my birthday, so I was just 14. I was probably one of the only people in the world to be cheering for The Miz outside of friends and family for him. And I was just so happy when he beat John Cena in that WrestleMania main event. I have, like, back then I had friends that kind of like wrestling, which I still do have friends that kind of like wrestling, but don't really. But, and my grandparents, they love John Cena. So they were just like, Miz has no chance, blah, 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 blah. And I was just so happy to throw it in their face, Miz won, brr, brr, brr. But anyway, I went off on a tangent on how much I love The Miz. And now with Maurice, Miz is just amplifying. That promo he cut on Talking Smack this week on Daniel Bryan, why wasn't that on SmackDown? Why the hell wasn't that on regular SmackDown? Like, I think Miz could probably, like, Miz's top heel, when in terms of SmackDown top heels, outside of AJ Styles, The Miz, man. And I don't even think AJ should be a heel for that much longer, although, I mean, he's great as a heel. Actually, I changed my mind, yeah. I think AJ should stay a heel, because I think turning him face could be really bad, mainly because SmackDown doesn't have that many heels, and with John Cena, Randy Orton, and Dean Ambrose being all faces, AJ would kind of fall back, I think, a little bit. But anyway, so let's get into the match. I don't think I've talked about this match yet, besides saying it is like number 3 or 4 match of the year candidate for me. But man, these guys went out there, had the match of the night, blew both title matches out of the water, blew Brock and Randy out of the water. This is another scenario of my heart telling me AJ's gonna win. AJ's gonna win. AJ's gonna win. But my mind then blatantly telling my heart, hell no he's not. This is John Cena, and AJ's already beaten him once. So John Cena's winning. But luckily what I wanted in my heart happened. And I thought AJ is gonna win by cheating. But AJ won clean as a freaking sheet against John Cena at SummerSlam, and man, oh man, this was great. Ah, man, this match. It's what gave, for me, SummerSlam from a C to a C plus C minus range. Like, I'll go B minus, full on B minus. This match brought it there. This year, man, if you would have told me a year ago, my favorite WWE matches this year would be Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn, Kota Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander, AJ Styles versus John Cena, and I know I'm missing one. I probably said it already in this. Anyway, there's countless others. But if you told me 1 year ago today, if you would have told me those are your top 3 matches next year that it's under the WWE umbrella, I would have told you, go fuck yourself. No, it isn't, because there's no way any one of those matches are going to happen because AJ Styles, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Kota Ibushi and Cedric Alexander are not going to be in WWE. A year ago, that's what I would have said. But now, it's happened, and it's freaking amazing. Like, man, literally the indies are taking over WWE, and it's awesome, dude. AJ Styles, he is there's no probably about it. He's the top heel in the company right now, in my opinion. He's the top heel. Seth Rollins is not. I don't even consider Seth Rollins a full-on heel. So, yeah, AJ Styles is the top heel in the company right now, in my opinion. Although that would have changed if they would have turned Balor. But given the scenario of what actually happened with Balor, I'm kind of happy they didn't. Although they had no pre-knowledge that he was going to get hurt. But, like, if he would have gotten hurt after, like, the whole club reforming thing, that would have just killed that whole thing dead. So if they ever do want to go to that, they still have that possibility. But if they did it here, it would have probably killed it. Anyway, so moving out of AJ and Cena, let's get into a disappointing part of the night here for me. Really disappointing. Gallows and Anderson versus the New Day. I was full on thinking, okay, the New Day have had it for practically a full year now. It's 364, a day away. Gallows and Anderson are going to play the spoilers and not let New Day get to the full year. And I was wrong. And this match disappointed the hell out of me in terms of the finish even. Like, first off, why is Jon Stewart in another finish of a SummerSlam match? Learn from mistakes last year. What is Jon Stewart going to do next year? Who's he going to fuck over next year, huh? Really? Last year he fucked over Cena. This year he fucked over Gallows and Anderson because it was very obvious in storyline Gallows and Anderson had them Kofi beat with the Magic Killer. But Jon Stewart, again, they just had to book him in to fucking screw someone else. They just had to. They couldn't help themselves. They could not help themselves. And I wish they would have not done the Jon Stewart thing and had Big E come out as a surprise at the beginning of the match. at the beginning of the match, not midway through the match where he creates a disqualification. No, at the beginning. I think it would have been amazing. Gallows and Anderson come out, and then all of a sudden you just hear Big E go, "Oh, Brooklyn, don't you dare be sour." And I think that would have just exploded the crowd, which it did anyway. But I think it would have been a lot better if they would have done it at the beginning and not had Jon Stewart play in it. But, okay, time to go in the next disappointment of the night. We have Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler. Match was good. The finish was just too abrupt, man. Really, after everything Dolph has said, you're going to beat him with one dirty deeds. I was expecting Dolph to have... I wasn't expecting Dolph to win by any imagination. I knew going in, Dolph is not winning this, okay? There's no way. But I thought, hey, I could get another match of the year candidate out of this, and I think it was on route to being that if they gave it another... Let's see here, how long did they officially give it, according to Wikipedia? 15 minutes and 18 seconds. I think if they gave that match another 5 minutes and changed the ending, that match would have been a lot better. But with the ending, man, that ending killed it for me. I was having a fun time watching that match until the ending. I'm like, what? One dirty deeds. After that impassioned promo Dolph said last week about you're not going to have what it takes to put me away. Really, you're going to put him away with one dirty deeds. Man, that finish sucked. All right, let's get into the next match, which, I mean, I can't call this a disappointment because I wasn't expecting much from it anyway. Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Carmella versus Natalya, Alexa Bliss, and the returning Nikki Bella. I mean, Nikki Bella won. I mean, it's expected. Why wouldn't Nikki Bella win? It's her return. And I just wonder if Eva Marie didn't get suspended, when would have Nikki come back? And I mean, there's no doubt she was going to be on SmackDown because John Cena's on SmackDown, and yeah, they're not going to break them up like they did Paige and Del Rio. Which, I mean, yeah, they're not going to do that to John freaking Cena. There is no way. So, yeah, I mean, Nikki wins, lol. It's kind of become the Cena wins, lol. Alright, next match, which... This match was disappointing in terms of the fans. Like, I loved the match, but it got to a point where I actually muted the crowd. I muted the TV. Because the crowd was just being too distracting for me. They were with the harp on the championship, which I agree. It is lazy, but I'm not going to say it's late. The laziness is the bad thing, because I love the SmackDown titles, and that's kind of lazy too. But I'm just a sucker for the color blue, so I mean anything blue I'm on board with, practically, unless it's like a blue piece of shit. But which is exactly what the world title will be if they do change it. Which I hope this reaction by the crowd changes their minds on changing the WWE World title to blue. But man, this title, I am not a fan of red title belts. I hated when the World Heavyweight title back they changed to the inside of it being red. I could go on about this belt, but I'm gonna choose not to, mainly because I hated when the crowd did it, and I had to mute the TV when they did because it was distracting me from the match. Which, outside of that, Finn Balor and Seth Rollins had a great match. A great match, but one thing I gotta say about this, though, with the injury. Okay, so they took the curb stomp from Seth, right? As far as I know, I don't think he hurt anyone with that curb stomp. Yet they let him do that buckle bomb, and at this point, I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, with the way the buckle bomb works, he's not personally doing anything wrong to hurt these people, like, with Sting and Finn. It's just the way they land. And Sting landed awkwardly and whipped his neck back. Seth landed awkwardly on his shoulder. It's just not I think they should just tell him to stop it. Really. I don't know why they would take away the curb stomp and let him keep the buckle bomb, because, at least from injury perspective, the buckle bomb is a far more dangerous move. But I guess they could say, don't want kids imitating it. But you could say that about any wrestling move. You don't want kids imitating it. You don't want kids imitating AJ Styles Clash. Because guess what? If the kid doesn't know to not tuck his head in, the kid's gonna freaking get a broken neck. Just like Yoshitatsu and a couple other, and I think one or two other people did. Because they tucked their heads. Which, by all means, that was not AJ Styles' fault that those people broke their necks. But it's theirs because they didn't take the move properly. And to be honest, I don't want to say the same thing for Seth Rollins and the Buckle Bomb, but I kind of do. And I kind of didn't expect AJ to have the Styles Clash when he came to WWE, ever, because of those broken necks. But I'm surprised they let him keep that. And they let Seth keep the Buckle Bomb. Yet, as far as I know, I could be wrong. I could totally be wrong. But as far as I know, the Seth Rollins curb stomp never hurt anybody. Anyway, let's keep going here. Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton. Talk about disappointments, right? Like, the match itself, up until the finish, was a typical Brock Lesnar match. Brock gets offense, Brock dominates, his opponent gets like a few seconds of offense, Brock dominates, his opponent gets another few seconds of offense, and Brock dominates some more. I would have rather had them end the match off that F5 than the way they ended it. And also, I don't believe Brock went. I'm pretty, like, Brock didn't go off script when busting Orton open. But I hate, why would they book it to where Brock Lesnar hits Randy Orton with an elbow? I mean, if that is indeed exactly the way they set it out, which I'm pretty sure it is, from backstage reports, that's exactly how they planned it out to be. Why in the hell is WWE booking Brock Lesnar to elbow anybody in the head for any amount of realness? Why? Brock Lesnar is a legit fighter, and those kind of elbows are banned in UFC for being too dangerous. So why in the hell are you doing them in pro wrestling? Why? It's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous why they would book Brock Lesnar to hit Randy Orton with an unworked elbow, or just why? Randy's just lucky he got out with just stitches, to be honest. I really thought he was going to be concussed and be out for a month or so with a concussion. That's what my instant reaction was, and I am happy that that is not the case. And I also, for this match, I selfishly wanted to see an F5 reversed into an RKO. I mean, I didn't want it to win the match, because in real life I didn't think Brock was losing for a second. Like, in my TEW games that I do, I had Randy win in my game, but, like, that's a game. And in real life, Brock's not losing until, sad to say, but Roman Reigns comes along, which I hope to God. No, I'll talk about that later. I'll talk about Roman Reigns later, after the Raw recap. Anyway. So, yeah, disappointing finish, TKO. I don't, like, just, the last match, two matches, I ask why. The first, second to last match with Finn and Seth, I ask why to the fans. In the last match, I ask why to everyone involved, except for the fans. So, yeah. Anyways, that was that. And in between the SummerSlam and Raw recap, I'm going to talk about what I've read about the whole Jericho thing and my thoughts on it. I mean, Jericho, it was kind of bullshit. If what I read is 100% true, and when Jericho came back asking if that was booked or not, or asked if it was a work, and if in fact no one told him it wasn't, which I don't know why they wouldn't tell him it was a work, but if it is in fact true that they didn't tell him, I get his anger towards Brock, because at that point, if I was Chris Jericho in Chris Jericho's shoes and no one was telling me if it was a work or not, if I'm asking was it a work and they're just not answering me, and they're obviously hearing me, then right in your head you're gonna think, nope, it wasn't, so fuck Brock, right? And so if it's true everything about what Brock did, Brock is I mean, Brock is Brock. He can literally do whatever the fuck he wants because he's gotten to that rare point where he doesn't need WWE. WWE needs him, and he could legit just do whatever the fuck he wants outside of criminal and I should say outside of criminal and racism. Um, Brock can do whatever the hell he wants. So, yeah, and if I mean I don't know past that, like the validity of the physical altercation, um, but if Brock did push Jericho is kind of bullshit. He should have just explained it was a work. But yeah, okay, Brock, if you feel the need, and if it is in fact true that it happened, who's really gonna stop Brock Lesnar? Anyway, let's get to the Raw review this week. First thing on Raw, Finn giving the championship up. I was devastated for Finn, man. Finn, for all intents and purposes, the Universal title is a world title, and I'm pretty sure Michael Cole said he is the first person to ever win a world title in his pay-per-view debut, and for him to just have to give it up the next night, man, he is just I mean, from outwardly, Finn Balor seems like a chill dude who really like stuff. I saw a video with him and Noam Dar on the YouTube channel about how he's putting everything in perspective, and he just seems like a guy that just is deep, man. He seems like a guy that people will be quoting years from now. People are gonna be quoting a quote of his because it's just so profound. He's that type. He seems like that type of guy to me, and it's sad to see a guy like that once he gets some to the top having to give it up. It kind of reminds me of Daniel Bryan with a little less than Daniel Bryan though. Like it's kind of the similar thing with Daniel Bryan, when he had to give it up, but also Daniel Bryan, I feel was probably a lot more over with the fans at that point than Finn is now. But Finn is pretty, at least in Brooklyn, he was really over. Once you get to other towns that maybe are full of casual fans that don't really follow NXT, they might not know much about Finn, but even then, his entrance gets. I don't think I've seen an arena where his entrance has not at least sparked some kind of result with the whole arm raising thing. I mean, CFO. I'm pretty sure it's CFO Money Sign that did his theme. I'm almost 100% sure it is, and they did a really great job on that. But anyway, in a nutshell, Finn Balor, I hope he gets back soon. And they say 6 months, but I'm kind of hoping 5 months, because if it is just under 6 months, I think it's a few weeks under 6 months. If he gets back just like 2 or 3 weeks before 6 months, it will be Royal Rumble, and I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Finn Balor make a return in the Rumble and win. Maybe not win it all, but I mean I don't know where they're gonna go with it. But I think going with Balor returning the Rumble would be really good. But it all depends, because I'm pretty sure Hideo Itami, his surgery was supposed to keep him out from 6 to 8 months, and I think he had some complications. He had to go back in for a second surgery. I'm pretty sure, and he had to be out for I'm pretty sure it was a year that he was out. So, hopefully Finn doesn't have any complications, and he just gets back soon. All right. When it came to the challengers for everyone, for the Universal title, everyone coming out, I kind of was disappointed in the whole Fatal 4-Way thing, because I wanted to see a full-length tournament with the whole like pretty much the whole Raw roster. Maybe not the whole Raw roster, but at least like 12 guys? No, I don't think 12 guys would work. At least 16 guys, right? But they chose to just have 4 qualifying matches for a Fatal 4-Way next week, which, I mean, it isn't the worst thing. They could have done worse, where they could have just had a frickin' Battle Royal for the belt like they did in 2007, where Khali won the world title. But I was oh my god, why Why is Roman Reigns in this scenario already? Right? You take him out of the you took him out of the Universal title match for SummerSlam to give the fans a break. And I thought Rusev and Roman, hey, they can go through at least 2 or 3 more pay-per-views with this, especially with the way they left it. But I'm still pretty sure they're gonna keep that. I'm pretty sure Rusev is I've said probably a lot in that sentence, but I am pretty sure Rusev is gonna cost Roman next week. But why is he even in this position to begin with? This is why the fans rebelled. Too much too soon. Okay, keep him in that U.S. title range. I'd say until WrestleMania, the night after WrestleMania, then put him back in the world title feud, because then you give the fans a break. You give him the opportunity to go out there and have kick-ass matches with guys like Rusev, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, which is Roman. One thing I'll never say about Roman Reigns is I'll never say he's not a good wrestler, because he is, man. Those matches with AJ Styles, those are probably up there in terms of top matches this year for me as well. AJ and Roman did really good. Although I will say not AJ, but Roman and Triple H at WrestleMania, I did not like at all. But I think Roman is a good wrestler, and I think giving him giving him up to WrestleMania to go out there and have feuds with Rusev, guys like Rusev, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, it would really give the fans more of a chance to acclimate to Roman Reigns. And whenever you do put him in that title feud again, it doesn't feel like it's too soon. It feels like it's finally time. It feels like, okay, we've been waiting for it. Now you're finally giving it to us. Not like you just gave us a month off and you're putting him right back in the same position again. And that's another thing. Like, he was in the main event of this week's show. I think, what was the first match? Sami and Seth? Yeah, Sami and Seth should have been the main event. Give Roman that opening spot with Chris Jericho. Why not? Because that's, and I'll tell you why they didn't. Because they just love Roman Reigns. They just love Roman Reigns, and they don't want to give him anything that looks like a demotion for more than a month. Although they're going to, because I'm pretty sure Rusev once again will cost him the match next week. But just keep him out of this in general. Keep him and Rusev out of this. You could have replaced Roman with Enzo. You could have replaced Rusev with... Rusev didn't win anyway, so you could have easily replaced him with Titus O'Neil or Darren Young to keep Rusev and Roman away and have them go off and do something else on this Raw and not have anything to do with the Universal title. And now, the only thing I could have said with that is it wouldn't make sense for neither one of them to, but in terms of overall sense to building Roman up to a point where the fans actually want him to be the champion, and it's pretty obvious WWE's not turning him heel, otherwise they would have already done it. So if you want the fans to get him going as a face, cheer behind him as a face, give him some time to build a rapport, build up a great body of work of matches, and just let that happen. And then when the time comes, which I think literally he could go out there, have a great match at WrestleMania against a guy maybe like a Sami Zayn or a Kevin Owens, like I said, and then the next night on Raw, you have him win a number one contenders match. And then that's when you get to the point where the fans, I think, will start cheering for him as a face, because at that point, he's been built up properly. But he was, like, at the Royal Rumble in 2014, people wanted him to win because, I mean, they didn't really want him to win. They just didn't want Batista to win. And I think WWE misconstrued that as them wanting Roman to win. And I may be off base with that, but that's the way I feel about it. So in 2015, when he did win, whoo baby, that crowd did not want Roman to win. And if I remember correctly, he was coming off an injury, and after he split off with the Shield, right, he went right into the SummerSlam match with Randy. He won. The crowd was behind, if I remember right, the crowd was behind Roman, but then he got hurt, and then when he came right back, they pushed him right as the top guy, and I think that's when the fans started turning on Roman to the point where this guy's been gone for X amount of months. He's barely wrestled any matches on his own, singles matches. He has only had really one good singles match with Orton, and you're giving him the top match at Mania already. Why? I feel like that's what the fans were thinking. But if you and you never gave him the time to really develop as the guy that the fans want to see. Because after Mania, after he lost, he went into the feud with Seth. He went off and did some. I don't even remember what Roman did most of 2015. Really, I can't. After, what did Roman do? Him and Dean went off with the Wyatts went at it with the Wyatts for a while. Roman was, I guess 2015 they may have been trying to keep. I'm pretty sure they kept him out of that title picture for a while. Although probably not. Let me think, because that Payback, which was the second show after Mania that year, I think. They had I'm pretty sure Extreme Rules. They had Roman and Seth. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure they had Roman and Seth at Extreme Rules. No, they had Seth and Randy at Extreme Rules, and they kept Roman busy. I don't remember how they kept him busy that month, but they still kept him in that main title, main event status. Then the next month it was Roman, Dean, Seth, and Randy. The Shield, what should have been the Shield triple threat, turned into a fatal 4-way. Although, in hindsight, I'm glad they didn't do the triple threat then, because I'm happy that they did it when they did it, and it was amazing when they did it. But, going back to that, Roman was then off. What did Roman compete in the Money in the Bank that year? Because I'm pretty sure Money in the Bank was right after Payback. I can't remember. Yeah, that was when, because Roman was in the main event. He's gonna win, but then surprisingly, I don't know how surprisingly it was. I don't remember if it was in the rumor mill or anything then. I don't remember from a year ago, but Bray cost Roman the match, leading into that anyone but you Roman feud, which unsurprisingly the fans were like, yeah, anyone but Roman, but they still kept him in that main event status. They kept him. They put him and Ambrose against Bray and Luke. Then they had Braun. It was Bray, Luke, and Braun versus Jericho, Dean, and Roman. And then after that, Roman had his blow-off with Bray, which was... that whole Bray Wyatt feud was great. I think that was the beginning of what they should have done, but not put him right... But then they made the mistake of putting him right back into the championship matches. He should have gone from Bray Wyatt to another heel, and then to maybe another heel, and then to maybe the championship at WrestleMania. But, then everything that happened. Seth got hurt, knee got blown out, Roman got the belt, Sheamus in the big clusterfuck of the year, Sheamus cashed in, Roman lost to TLC, won the title back the next night on Raw, lost it in the Royal Rumble to Triple H, then beat Triple H for it, and then lost it to Seth, who lost it to Dean, and all Shield members were champion in 5 minutes, and then he was gone for 30 days from a suspension. Then he came back, got right back in the title match, and then he magically wasn't in the title match anymore, which was a good thing. But I think they're probably going to rush him back into that title feud again, just too fast, like they did back in 2015 after the feud with Wyatt. And it's kind of the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same old shit and expecting a different result. WWE, please surprise me and not do that with Roman Reigns again, and keep him in an upper mid card feuds, not main event feuds, and let him have those big matches. And I went off on a big Roman Reigns tangent there. So back to Raw. Seth Rollins defeated Sami Zayn in the opening match. They played the whole injury angle with Sami, which, I think that was the right way to go, except, Seth beat Sami a couple weeks ago on Raw, so, the reason I'm going to give for this being the right move is kind of mute, because they already fucked up that reason, because he beat him clean a couple weeks ago, but I think Sami shouldn't right now be beaten by anybody clean. It's as clean a win as you. It's not the cleanest win you can get, but it's definitely a clean win for Seth. But it's also like that air of doubt. The guy was hurt or whatever. So I think that was a perfect way to end that match. Next was Owens and Neville. Um, After Neville got back from injury, I really liked Neville before, but when he got back, he so far he just hasn't clicked with me. I don't know why. He just hasn't. Um, I mean, you can only see the red arrow as many times, like 10 times before it's like, okay, yeah, I know Neville can do the red arrow. Like, and it's not. And I'm not encouraging Neville to go out there try something like make the incredible factor go up and end up killing himself. But I'm just saying, like, you can only see it so many times before you get used to it. But and I thought the injury would be good for the red arrow move because people wouldn't have seen it for a while, and whenever he came back and did it, it'd be good, and people would be astonished by it again, which I'm still sure little kids would love that move, and do love that move. But I mean, Kota Ibushi can do that move standing up practically. He against, I think in the match with Cedric Alexander, Kota Ibushi did a move like, I think it was like one rotation less than a red arrow, and he did it from his feet. So I mean, when you see that, you kind of get desensitized to it when it's off the top rope. But anyway, yeah, Neville loses to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens advancing is good. Then we got what happened after that. Let me see here. I'm currently looking on a website, see what actually happened. Gallows and Anderson did New Day come out, celebrate their 1 year. Gallows and Anderson come out and do the whole spoiler thing. But when I came out, I wanted them to get that. I wanted the belts to be on the line the night after Brooklyn. When they came out, I thought it was going to happen. Well, I mean, they were still in Brooklyn. But the night after SummerSlam, I thought they're going to do something big. I didn't know if they were going to do a debut or not because I didn't know who they would debut. And I thought Bayley was going to go to SmackDown. But Bayley ended up on Raw. I'll talk about that in a little while. But I thought Gallows and Anderson winning the tag titles on Raw, I mean, it'd be good for Raw. It'd be a good Raw moment for Gallows and Anderson. But, I mean, of course they're not. Gallows and Anderson can't even get a win, can they? No, because Big E has to beat Carl Anderson. And Carl Anderson's got the short end of the stick when it comes to the whole club thing, because whenever they lose a match, Luke Gallows isn't the one getting pinned. AJ Styles, when they were all in the same show, wasn't the one getting pinned. No, it was Carl freaking Anderson. And Carl Anderson, I think I'm pretty sure was a G1 finalist. I know he didn't win because Kenny Omega's the first Gaijin to win it, but I'm pretty sure Carl was in the finals of the G1 tournament. Why is Carl Anderson the guy being pinned in all these matches? I think personally Luke Gallows should be if they're going to be pinned, Luke Gallows should be eating that pin. Carl Anderson should be built up as the big deal because he's really good in the ring. Whereas Gallows is kind of the stereotypical big guy, but he more than makes up for that stereotypical big guy with his charisma that he does have that for some reason they don't let him show. But out of those two, Carl Anderson should be I mean, he is the workhorse of the team, but he should be like the highlighted guy of the team and not the one being pinned every week. But yeah, why not? What in WWE's logic, why not? He's the smaller guy, so he's got to be the one pinned. And I banged my head on a wall. All right, next thing that happened on Raw. No one's gonna blame me if I skip over this Titus O'Neil and Darren Young stuff. All you need to know is Titus went full on heel. And he went full on heel. That's all that can be said. Stephanie went on say Brock has punishment. Shane said that punishment was $500 fine. So and he said him and Brock aren't over. So then I posed the question: why in the hell was Brock Lesnar drafted if you're gonna have him feud with the SmackDown commissioner? Why? Brock Lesnar, like The Undertaker, should have been one of those guys that wasn't drafted and just shows up wherever the fuck he wants. Because that's what he practically does anyway. So, why not work it in that way? But, of course, they have to have him be a part of a show. I mean, they can't have Brock Lesnar as a free agent. Which, I mean, Heath Slater, I missed him on Raw this week. I mean, as much as I joke about Heath Slater, and I mean, you would know this because this is, once again, the first ever episode of the PW View, the Pro Wrestling View. But, as much as I joke about Heath Slater, he is one of the most entertaining things about the show each week in terms of comedy. He is WWE's Santino Marella right now. There is no other guy that is as funny as Heath Slater. He goes out there, they have him do the thing with Brock and Randy showing he has guts. The crowd was cheering for him throughout the entire night. Man, oh man. Why was Heath Slater not on Raw this week? I mean, why not just send him out there to get beat up by someone? Just send him out there to get beat up by Who could have beat him up this week? Have Braun Strowman beat him up. Have, maybe not in like a squash match, but have like Heath Slater come out after Braun squashes the little guy, the job guy, and have him do something where Braun then just kills him dead, and we all have a chuckle and a nice laugh. But no, they didn't even do that. Why was Slater not on Raw? Anyway, and I say that whenever I'm going to get into the dark match, which, why is Cena and AJ and Dean on a dark match for after Raw? Why wouldn't they put some Raw guys in the dark the dark match main event? Why do they have to rely on Cena and AJ? I'll tell you why. Because they're that damn good. Alright, anyway, let's keep on going on Raw. Big Cass wins. Beats Rusev via countout. If you're going to beat Rusev, that's the right way to do it. I mean, not much to say there. Jericho talking. I mean, I don't think they've had a segment yet where I haven't laughed and had fun with it. So, good job for them. Good job for them. And it's going to kill me when they break up, because it's going to happen. And it's going to happen in the next couple months, because Jericho's going to be gone the next couple months. So, yeah. Little Charlotte segment. She, personally for me, has gotten better progressively on the mic. When she first came on Raw last year, to me it seemed like she was very uncomfortable with it. But now she is healing it up. She is... I mean, really, since she turned heel, she is not a good face, I don't think. Charlotte is a great heel and a subpar face. And for her whole career here on out... Sorry, I excuse the burp, but from here on out, Charlotte should be a heel for the rest of her career. No exceptions. And same thing for Bayley. Bayley should be a face her whole career. No exceptions. Bayley comes out, huge ovation. Of course, they're going to cheer for her. I'm pretty sure she's one of the stars that one of the stars from NXT, no matter where you're at in any country, Bayley comes out, everyone's on their feet. Just amazing. Has a match with Dana Brooke. I've been showing my friend Jimmy. We did a draft, like a mock draft, a few months ago before the whole WWE draft thing came out, and I've kind of been telling him, like, I've been rating how good these women are based on their matches with Dana Brooke, because Dana Brooke, she's not there yet. I think she personally will get there to the status of how good Charlotte is and the girls, but it's gonna take time. I think Dana will get there eventually, though. But right now she's subpar in the ring, and I've been rating how good Sasha is in the ring based on her match with Dana Brooke, and Sasha's matches with Dana Brooke have been good, and so therefore I'm like, okay, Sasha's really good. That she can. I mean, there's no doubt Sasha Banks is good, but she's that good to carry Dana Brooke to a good match at where Dana's at in her career. And this week, Bayley, not saying Bayley's not good, but her match with Dana wasn't that great. But whenever Bayley gets in there with girls like Sasha and Charlotte and Becky, she tears the house down. But the saying, you're only as good as you're only as good as yourself, pretty much. Like, if you're in the ring with someone good, I don't know what's. I'm trying to think of the actual saying, but you're. But Bailey is really good when she's facing other great women wrestlers. But when she's in the ring with Dana Brooke, her matches aren't. It's not like a bad match, but it's not the best match. And I'm not blaming Bailey, as I said. I'm blaming Dana for not being such a great match. But also, so far, Bailey has not been good at carrying Dana Brooke through the match. So, I mean, that's basically my interpretation of Bailey, and I hope Bailey doesn't actually get the title match at the next pay-per-view, although, who else is there? Because Paige is suspended, so unless Paige is suspended is up by then, which even if it is up by then, there is no time to build that, so I guess Bailey has to be, unless they do a tag team match, which I actually, as much as I hate having tag team matches instead of the women's championship, this is the one time where I think I would actually rather it. Going into, I was kind of disappointed Sheamus and Cesaro didn't have one of their best of sevens in this Raw. I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, if you have a chance to knock out two of a best of seven in 2 nights, do it. Because now they have 6 more weeks. And, like, I'm pretty sure the next pay-per-view for Raw will coincide with it. I would have to look at the dates, but it may. I wouldn't be surprised if they lined it so where, at the Clash of Champions show they have match 6, and then on Raw the next night they have match 7, or match 7 is at the Clash of Champions show. It really depends on how many more weeks it is until then, and I don't remember. And it depends on if it will go the full 7 as well, which I really hope it does. I mean. It's kind of weird for me because on one hand I want it to go the full thing, but then again, like, why do I want it to? Because it's Sheamus, Cesaro and oh my god, Cesaro and Sami Zayn in a best of 7. Oh my god, but I'm surprising myself here, and I'm gonna go and say I want this series to go full 7. Alright, so then we get into Braun Strowman, as I will refer to him, Strowman. He defeats some jobber. There's chance of Let's Go Jobber, which I had a nice laugh at. I'm loving these squash matches, really, I am. Like, with Nia and Braun, I'm loving the squash matches, but Stephanie said they were going to be working more LGBT characters into the WWE, which I think the best catalyst for that would be Darren Young. But apparently their best catalyst for that is having, let's see here, what was the jobber's name? Johnny Knockout go out there and say, I like big sweaty men. That's how you become all-inclusive with the gay community. You just have a guy go out there and say that and then get squashed in less than a minute. That's how to get the gay community on your side, WWE. Just do that. No, that isn't how. That is not how. And then also, let's get into the Dudley Boys. Whenever that was announced, I was like, okay, Bubba Ray heel turn confirmed. But whenever that didn't turn out to be the case, I really got sad. I'm like, okay, this is for real. And this is sad. It really is. This run for the Dudleys, I think it's been really disappointing. Really. The first few months of this run was spectacular. The whole stuff with the New Day was awesome. But then they fizzled out this run. I don't know why. They're really good. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know why. But for some reason they did. But give credit to them. They're in a position where they didn't have to do the honors on the way out. They didn't have to let Gallows and Anderson put Devon through a table. They're in a position where they don't have to let people do that. But as much as I hear about Bubba Ray being a dick from podcasts, but as much as that, I gotta say, good on him, good on Devon to put Gallows and Anderson over on their way out. And wow, that that's pretty much Raw. The last thing is Roman and Jericho, and I've already given my thoughts on that, so I'm not going to give any more time into that. So, yeah, and as I said, I was going to look up. I forgot what I said I was going to look up in between the Raw and SmackDown review. It was something. I don't know. It'll probably come back to me after I'm done, and I will be very disappointed in myself. But let's get into the SmackDown review. Luckily, SmackDown is not 3 hours, and it will not take that long. And I do not also have a Roman Reigns style rant to go on, so should be a lot shorter, and we should be wrapping the show up very soon. Also, I never explained this in the beginning. The white bar at the bottom of the screen was it's covering up the sixth topic that I was going to bring up, and that was the Cruiserweight Classic for this week, which I didn't get around to watching this week. So I didn't feel like going into Photoshop and taking it off the list, so I just very lazily put the white bar on it. And for those people that just have this on in the background and doing other shit on their computer and listening, disregard that. All right. The whole thing with Styles, I'm liking the whole thing with Styles open up being just gloating, being cocky, arrogant. I mean, in all respects, that's what a heel that just cleanly beat John Cena should do, man. He should be going around telling everybody, hey, I beat John Cena at SummerSlam. Hey, I beat John Cena at SummerSlam. He should be going to the referee before every match and saying it. Maybe not that, okay, maybe not like that extensively, but he should be yelling it from the rooftops in every single promo from here until John Cena eventually gets his win back. But I have a theory. Well, not a theory as much as what I want to happen, which I will go into more detail after the SmackDown review. Dolph Ziggler did great face work, although, I mean, the fans don't react to him the same way they did because, I mean, at this point, status quo, Dolph Ziggler gets an opportunity and he fails. He gets an opportunity and he fails. And then he falls into a lull where for about 6 months to 8 months he doesn't get any opportunity and just loses petty feuds to guys like Baron Corbin. And then he gets another opportunity, then he fails. And sadly, I love Dolph Ziggler, but sadly that's how his career has gone. And I don't see that ever changing. I mean, if you want to talk about underutilized guys, he is, oh my god, he is one of the most underutilized guys of all time. I mean, I'm sure you can pull out other names that have been underutilized more than him, but he's up there. He is far up there. They had money in this guy after WrestleMania 29? Yeah, I think it was after 29 when he cashed in on Del Rio. They had money in him. Even after the concussion, he was still hot. And they had him losing his first match after the concussion. But then, even when you thought all hope was lost for Dolph Ziggler, he's never get another opportunity. He's gonna just fade off into the sunset. He gets that match with the SummerSlam match, and not SummerSlam, Survivor Series match. And you think, oh my god, this is the moment. This is when Dolph Ziggler breaks out and becomes the main event talent that he ever should have been. And they squander it. So at this point, it's not Dolph Ziggler's fault. He's done everything right, at least from what I can see. And WWE's just dropped the ball on him. And really, it reminds me of what they would have done with Daniel Bryan if not the crowd gotten super behind Daniel Bryan. Like, if the crowd wasn't as behind Daniel Bryan as they were, I personally am in the camp that he wouldn't have gotten that WrestleMania 30 main event. He would have faced Sheamus. He then wouldn't probably have touched the title again. But because the fans were so into him, he got that shot. He got the main event of WrestleMania. And all the years that I've been watching, that and his retirement are the two most emotional moments that I've seen on live TV. And, I mean, I've only cried 3 times watching wrestling. The first time was when Daniel Bryan won the WrestleMania 30 main event. Second time, when he retired. Third time, and I'm a nerd for this one, Sasha and Bayley after Brooklyn. I mean, after Charlotte and Becky got in the ring and they did the four horsewomen thing, I will admit I was I was crying happy tears after that. Like I just couldn't hold them back. Like that was probably the second most emotional moment in wrestling for me. First obviously would be Daniel Bryan's retirement. Third would be him winning the main event. But if Dolph would have just had just a little bit more, if he would have had a good catchy catchphrase, if he would have gotten the crowd just a little tiny bit more behind him, he could have been where Daniel Bryan was, but just fell a little short, and it's very disappointing. Anyway, let's go through. Let's talk about the new SmackDown championships. I will not talk about the Raw Universal title being unoriginal because I would be a hypocrite in that point because I love the tag team titles for SmackDown and I love them a lot more than the Raw tag team titles. I'll go to How I Met Your Mother on this one, Barney Stinson, and say new is always better, except with one exception for me, and that is the Universal title. But I have other reasons besides it being unoriginal why I don't like it. But these titles, I love the silver on blue. Blue is my favorite color, and my favorite combination of colors is silver on blue. Silver on blue. If someone asked me, what is the perfect champion, like, what is the perfect two combination of colors, I would say silver and blue. Which is why I love these belts so much. And, with blue being my favorite color, once again, I'm partial to the SmackDown Women's title and against the Raw Women's title because red is just not my color. It's not my favorite color. Back in the day, 2007, 2008, I was not a Raw guy. I was a SmackDown guy, and that was like in the days where it's like it wasn't cool to be a SmackDown guy. It was the days of Edge and Matt Hardy being a couple of the top guys there. Batista. It wasn't the 04 Paul Heyman SmackDown. It was the 07 SmackDown, and as a kid, I would make sure to get home. I would make sure to be at home Friday night. I'm watching SmackDown. I could miss Raw on Monday as a kid, but as I could not miss SmackDown. I lived on a lake, and I lived on a lake when I was a kid, and I would, like, if it was Friday night, right, me and a couple friends are having a good time hanging out by the lake, fishing or whatever. Once it hits 7 o'clock Central Time, I am up in my room watching SmackDown. That's how much I loved SmackDown back then. And, I mean, I envy, and I wish to have, I think any wrestling fan would agree with this, the fandom that you have as a kid for pro wrestling, it's just different. Like, it's untainted. It's not, you're not thinking of the backstage politics that you get into when you're older because if you're a hardcore wrestling fan. You're not listening to guys being assholes behind the scenes. You're not any of that. You just love the wrestling, and as a kid, that innocence as a kid, as a wrestling fan, I wish I could go back to having those innocent days of just watching wrestling and not thinking of the any backstage politics. But yeah, that those days are sadly behind me, and to anyone out there, just I know if you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you probably feel the same way. Anyway, during this championship ceremony, Heath Slater came out, and boy oh boy did I have some fun. Heath Slater. I watched SmackDown with my grandma and my grandpa. On Raw, I just watched with my grandpa because my grandma doesn't want to sit through 3 hours of wrestling. Hell to the no. And, yeah. So, yeah, my grandma loves Heath Slater. The whole thing with him saying he had, like, 8. He said, I have 2 kids to feed, and then he went up to 6, and then he went up to 8. Like, that just got her hooked in loving Heath Slater. So she is just, every time he's on TV, she is attentive and laughing. And I like the whole thing with the you're not equipped for these belts or the women's belt and the tag belt and go find yourself a partner. And why didn't they do more vignettes with that? At least like one or two more. Why'd they do just the one with Arn Anderson? I mean, I know they did stuff on Instagram, but Instagram isn't SmackDown. Do some more stuff on there. That would have been funny. Him going up to... Who could he have gone up to? Let's see here. Who lost the tournament match this week? Alpha beat... Who did Alpha beat this week? Breeze Dongo. After Breeze Dongo lost, he could have gone up to Breeze and asked him, and Breeze just shut him down. Or who did the Usos beat this week? The Ascension. Yeah, actually, you could have played up him in the Ascension. Asking one of them or just somebody. Oh my god, I just thought of the perfect one. Kane. He should have went up and did something with Kane, and Kane reject him or something. Jesus, Kane is a funny dude. That would have been awesome, but they dropped the ball on that. But at least they had this segment with AJ coming out and saying, "No, I will not be your tag team partner." That was hilarious. Good job on that was just great times with Heath Slater. And then AJ comes out. Dolph. I like the whole fire from Dolph. The match was made. I expected it to be a number one contenders match, not a Dolph wins he's in as well kind of deal. But sorry, I've been talking for like a long time and needed a drink of water. But anyway, as I was saying, it made it less predictable, the whole triple threat implication. But as I said, I'll get into the main event when it comes time. Becky beat Alexa. Nothing much there. I mean, at this point, Becky should be beating Alexa, but Alexa shouldn't be losing. It's in that point where, okay, Becky should be if Alexa and Becky's in a match, Becky should be winning. But on the other hand, Becky and Alexa should not be having matches. Alexa should be beating jobbers like Nia Jax is on Raw. And I don't know why I was going with the although there, but that's the way I feel. Alexa should just be beating up jobbers, like not exactly like Nia Jax, because Alexa is not as big as Nia Jax, but she should be beating jobbers for a while. Okay, Slater turned down by The Miz. I actually forgot about this, so, I mean, he did have 2 segments, so at least he didn't just have the one with Arn Anderson, but yeah, knowing what Miz said on the after show for SmackDown and knowing what he did on the actual show, it's like, why? It's another moment where I'm just like, why WWE? Why put this on from the Miz perspective, not from the Heath Slater perspective, but from the Miz perspective? Why have Miz doing this when he could have been doing that? Anyway, Usos beat the Ascension. Yeah. Usos beat the Ascension. Nothing much said. AJ's promo on Dolph. AJ's a good promo altogether. Daniel made the match official. Yeah. Nikki Bella is back. Which, I feel Nikki Bella... I don't even know what Nikki Bella should be in terms of heel or face. But I liked the heel turn for Carmella. So, I guess Nikki is... I think she's good either way, to be honest. As for the little girls love Nikki Bella for on some reason. Well, I know the reason. It's her gimmick, her whole fearless thing and all that, and little girls tend to and probably should gravitate to that catchphrase. Sorry about that. My headset fell off my head. But anyway, any little children, not just little girls, should go to phrases like fearless and never give up. And that's one thing I can't knock Cena or Nikki about. But yeah, Nikki as a face is probably the best way to go for that. And Carmella as a heel I didn't know I wanted it. but I got it, and I turned out I wanted it. I've been feeling Carmella has been stale since coming up to the main roster, since she isn't with Enzo and Cass, which I think she should have been. I think you put her on Raw and give SmackDown, not Bayley, because we're thinking of in terms of draft moments. So have Raw draft Carmella and have SmackDown draft Nia Jax. There, yeah. I think they should have done that, so Carmella could have been with Enzo and Cass, and by proxy, she would have been over, right? But they put her on SmackDown, and she was struggling to get over as a face, so I don't know how long they've had this heel turn for her plan, but I feel like if it was an audible, it was a great audible for them to pull her a heel turn on her, with her, because she just, for whatever reason, on her own was not getting over, and I think she has it in her to be a really great heel. I'm pretty sure she was a heel when she first came in NXT, which she was like the heel manager for the face Enzo and Cass, or something like that. But anyway, I like the heel turn from Carmella, and I like the whole stuff from Talking Smack with Carmella attacking Nikki again. So yeah, I really hope they show the Miz. I just hope they show highlights of Talking Smack on next week's SmackDown, as they should. Really, why wouldn't they show that Miz thing on next week's SmackDown? At least highlights from it, or Charlotte or Carmella and Nikki. Why? And also, Carmella and Nikki should not be having a one-on-one match at all until after Backlash, in my opinion. They should be in tag team matches, but they should not be one-on-one for a while to build it. Because if you're gonna want to make the women feel big, build feuds like you do for men. Although I say that now, and they gave Roman and Rusev away on Raw last week, but have a build to a match, not just a 1 week. Oh, I attacked you, now we're gonna have a match. No, let the match build for a few weeks, and that's what I hope they do. Anyway, so Randy came out. His promo was a Randy Orton promo. Randy gets in moments where like he'll be killing it for a few months, and then he'll get into a slump for a few months. But this didn't feel like a beginning of a slump. It kind of felt like Randy didn't have too much to talk about before Bray came out. And I'm loving that Bray Wyatt is in a feud with Randy Orton, because I think Randy can lose this feud. I mean, Randy can lose any feud at this point, and it won't hurt Randy Orton. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, 12-time world champion. No one beating him is gonna hurt him. He's a made man already. You can't, and I sure as hope Bray beats him at Backlash. I sure as hell hope so. Because if step one for in my opinion, for rehabbing Bray Wyatt is get him away from the family, unless Luke Harper. Eric Rowan and Braun Strowman for Bray Wyatt were dead weight. So get rid of them. That is complete. I'm pretty sure Eric Rowan is done with Bray. Although I could be wrong. But I'm almost 100% sure he's done with Bray. So that was done. And then get him in a high-profile feud that he can win. Step 2 is complete. Well, it's half complete. First he has to win, then step 2 will be complete, and then step 3 would put him in another meaningful feud that he can win, and keep building until he can get to a point where there's a face champion that he can face for the title. And I'm not saying put the title on Bray, but maybe not even wait for a face champion. Maybe turn Bray face. I've heard it on other podcasts. Bray Wyatt is... I personally think could be a great face. Anyway, Slater's whole thing with Arn Anderson, as hokey and corny as it was, I love Heath Slater, so I go Slater. And Rhino, Rhino being his partner. I'm more interested in who they find as their opponents next week. Oh my god, what a cop-out it would be if it was the Ascension or Breeze Dango. I know I said earlier, why not have him ask them, but it would be a cop-out for them if they just faced one of those two teams that lost this week. I wouldn't mind seeing a Kurt Hawkins return with him having a partner next week for their opponents, which also with these Kurt Hawkins things on SmackDown, it's very obvious they are just repackaging the Chuck Norris things, but with Kurt Hawkins. But with that said, I'm still loving them. So keep them coming until you're ready to debut the guy, re-debut him, and when you do, if you're gonna please put some effort into him, unlike they did with Jinder Mahal. Please put some effort into Kurt Hawkins. Please. I mean, even if you're gonna have him be a jobber, have him be a jobber like Heath. Have him be entertaining. Jinder Mahal. I mean, I don't even know why they brought. I mean, I do know why they brought Jinder Mahal back. He's a jobber that won't. I mean, it's not like Jinder Mahal's gonna storm into Vince's office and complain, right? Jinder Mahal's probably just happy to be there, and and probably the same thing with Kurt Hawkins. But Kurt Hawkins, I think, has a lot more talent in terms of entertainment value than Jinder Mahal does. So I just hope they do something with Kurt Hawkins. Anyway, next match of the night, American Alpha defeated Breeze Dango. Yeah, I've already talked about this a little bit. I didn't talk about American Alpha, though, but, I mean, there's not much to say about them. They're just fucking amazing, and, I mean, they're just amazing. They're an amazing tag team. They're just amazing. That's all I can say. Dean Ambrose having his whole Mohegan Sun shirt and cowboy hat or whatever, it was just corny. Dean Ambrose, I mean, I like the whole attitude of Ambrose. It's just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I love that from Ambrose, but it's also like, there's guys that you can be corny with. Heath Slater, he's a guy you can be corny with. Kurt Hawkins, same thing. But Dean Ambrose is your world champion. You don't want to be corny with your world champion. He's the world champion. Have some sense of seriousness outside of pay-per-view matches. I mean, they have. The past few weeks with Dolph Ziggler, he's been nothing but serious. But, of course, he doesn't have a direct opponent quite yet, so why not have Dean Ambrose be a little silly? WWE logic, man. AJ beat Dolph, no surprise there. The whole triple threat implication made me think to myself, maybe they give Dolph a fluke when Dean causes a distraction or something, because Dean was out there, but I mean, in the end of the day, the right person won. AJ shouldn't be losing to Dolph Ziggler after beating John Cena at SummerSlam. So yeah, as I said after SmackDown review, I was going to talk about my whole theory / what I hope will happen, but let's be honest, it won't happen, because they're going to blow off Cena AJ at some point far sooner than what I want them to. But what I want is for this to happen. I want AJ to feud with Dean Ambrose for the championship. Practically, maybe throw Randy Orton in for a month or two to feud with him, but AJ to feud with Dean Ambrose for most of the rest of the year. Him beat Dean Ambrose in the end, have the title all the way up until and defend it all the way up until WrestleMania, and I would say keep John Cena off TV until the Rumble. I mean, he's gonna go film a show anyway. I'm pretty sure he's not booked for gonna be booked for Backlash. So have John Cena be off till the Rumble. Have him come back and win the Rumble. Which, I mean, John Cena winning a Rumble, but that sets up Cena AJ WrestleMania for the title. And I don't think there's a bigger stage for John Cena to win his 16th world title, because as much as I don't want it to happen, God knows it's gonna. And if there's a time, if it's gotta happen, at least let the build to it be good, and at least let it be against a guy like AJ Styles who can bring the best out of Cena, and at least have it be like have that story of last year at SummerSlam, John Cena lost to AJ. This year he came back, won the Rumble, and gets another shot at AJ, but this time it's for the title. It has that whole big fight feel to it, and John Cena gets his 16th world title against AJ Styles. And I'm not asking for a double turn here, because God knows Cena's never turning, but maybe just have Cena and AJ have a handshake after that match, and have Cena and AJ go through and have Cena have a few-month reign, defend the belt against AJ once or twice, have him defeat, if Bray's still a heel at that point, have him beat Bray. Hopefully, I see more money in Dean as a heel, and I think the best part for Cena to drop it to is a heel Dean Ambrose at that point. But that is my main goal. Well, not goal, but my main what I want to happen with that world title up until next year. at least with AJ and Cena. But I actually thought to myself after maybe that Cena's probably just gonna win it back, get the win at Survivor Series. But then I thought, actually Survivor Series maybe not, because he might be filming American Grit. I don't know the exact filming schedule for him in American Grit season 2, and also all his other commitments that he's getting wrapping up. He's another one of those rare commodities, just like Brock Lesnar, who doesn't need WWE. They need him. And before I would have said Randy Orton is in that too, but he kind of isn't. They're more in a position where they need each other equally, because Randy Orton isn't gonna go out and be that big time movie star, I don't think. And he also is. I mean, I picture once he's done with wrestling, he'll be in the Hall of Fame, and he'll go live his life. He'll go live his life with his beautiful wife, his stepchildren, his daughter. Just go live life and be happy about it. He's just the guy that strikes me like he's not. He doesn't seem to strike me as the guy who's gonna go down to NXT and train people. He just seems like once he is done, he's done, and I don't see. Like, I could see him maybe branching out and doing a movie or two, but I don't see him branching out and being a big-time movie star. So, I think Randy is in that position where he and WWE need each other equally, if that makes sense. So, and before I wrap this up, let me think, is there any other person that doesn't need WWE as much as they need him? I mean, off the top of my head, discounting part-timers, no, I don't think so. I mean, Jericho, kinda. I mean, Jericho actually, yeah, I would say. He's got a good thing going with his podcast, Talk is Jericho. I love it. He's got a good thing going with Fozzy. So actually, I would throw Jericho in with Brock and Cena. He's a guy that doesn't, that they need him more than he needs them. But, thanks so much for watching this first episode of the PW View, Pro Wrestling View. This week was just me, but next week I'm hoping to get someone else on the show with me. And hopefully next week I can get more into actual news stories and outside of like recap, because as you can see on the screen, there was 5 main shows to recap, and it was long. And I also originally thought of doing the G1 because the G1 finals and Kenny Omega, but I just thought, no, I'm not. That's too much to go over, and this episode has been near 2 hours anyway. So, yeah. Thanks so much for watching or listening, whichever you are doing, which I imagine you're probably not watching because this is just the same screen. I imagine if you are listening to this full thing, you are probably listening to it in the background while you're doing something else. But anyway, thanks so much for watching or listening, and I will see you guys next time.